Portlethen Moss was once part of a much larger wetland and possibly part of the impassable boggy land that the nearby Causey Mount Old Drove Road was built to cross. Dating back to at least the 12th century, this was the main road connecting Stonehaven and the south to Aberdeen. This large expanse of heath and bog was extensively drained in the 19th century, leaving only small isolated bogs or mosses. Portlethen Moss has continued to be drained through the years, culminating in more recent times with the major development of much of Portlethen as we know it today. The moss is a remnant of what we call a raised bog, a watery land formed over many thousands of years. At the end of the last ice age, a shallow loch or wet hollow would be left by retreating glaciers and would gradually get filled up with wetland vegetation, which over time would decay and organic material would build up, cutting off this marshy ground. The resulting fewer nutrients cause more acidic conditions to develop, ideal for the raised bog specialist species Sphagnum moss. There are many species of sphagnum, and it comes in a range of colours of greens and pinks and reds. Sphagnum moss holds up to 8, even 10 times its weight in water, acting like a sponge absorbing water from their surroundings. And this is one of the reasons why it was used in the past in nappies and for staunching wounds. In these waterlogged conditions and aided by compounds within the moss's cells, dead sphagnum doesn't decay and instead builds up, creating great layers of organic matter that eventually becomes peat, in some places many meters thick. If you take a closer look at sphagnum, at the top of the plant you will see a compact cluster of upwardly growing young branches. This is called a capitulum and is not present in other moss species. Sphagnum continues to grow upwards. Another moss you will find in the bog is Politicum or hair moss. It forms large mounds of long, tough, wiry shoots, all clustered together in these big mounds. In early summer, the bog comes alive with the fabulous display of bog cottons, the cotton grasses, with their white fluffy seed heads blowing in the wind, carpet this wetland. Two types of cotton grass are found here. Common cotton grass grows in the bog pools and has air canals in the stems, taking oxygen from the air down to its roots. It snorkels to survive. Hare's tail grows as drier hummocks, packed together, forming tussocks. The leaves are long, thin, and rolled to conserve water. Bog asphodel brings a splash of colour to the bog, with its bright yellow star-shaped flowers in July and August, and orange fruiting seed heads in autumn. The Latin name ossifragum means bone breaker, revealing the belief that the asphodel caused brittle bones in sheep that grazed on it. Although this has more to do with the nutrient-poor conditions it grows in, the bog asphodel is from the lily family and is poisonous to animals. Growing close to the ground, a very different plant can be seen in a few spots. A carnivorous plant, a meat-eater, the round-leaved sundew. The spoon-shaped leaves are covered in red tendrils, producing a sticky substance that attracts small, unsuspecting insects. Sensitive to the touch, the leaves fold and close over any unfortunate insect trapped in the sticky goo. A sundew may eat 5 insects a month, and this carnivorous habit helps the plant survive, providing nutrients it may not get from its surroundings. This inhospitable-looking wetland is home to many animals. The frogs arrive to spawn in spring, quickly laying a mass of clumps of eggs. They are closely followed by Palmic Newts, our most common newt, preferring the shallow pools and more acidic conditions of the bog. Male Palmic Newts can be identified by their black webbed back feet and a filament at the tip of their tail. Newts need some open water to perform their mating dance before the female goes on to lay many individual eggs on leaves of water plants. folding the leaf over the egg to protect it from predators. On a sunny summer's day, you may see colourful damselflies and dragonflies flitting about the ponds and bog pools. They come to mate and lay their eggs into the water. Some species are bog specialists, but all need water for their life cycle. Below the surface of the bog pools, the young nymphs hunt. They have strong jaws, a spoon-shaped mask that pops out to grab passing prey. Dragonfly nymphs are chunky individuals and have 5 triangular and pointed rear anal appendages, while the damselfly nymphs are more delicate looking and have 3 flat leaf-like appendages. These have gills at the bottom, which the damselfly breathes through. Heath, scrub and woodland surrounds the bog. Heathers and dwarf shrubs dominate the heaths. Cross-leaved heath has leaves arranged in 4s around the stem, with silky hairs on the underside, reducing water loss by trapping air. Bell heather, with its bright pink bell flowers and leaves in 3s in whorls around the stem. And ling heather, with tiny scale-like leaves overlapping like tiles on a roof, are both found on the drier heath. Their nectar-rich flowers attract pollinators to the heath and bog, heralding in late summer with the purple glow of their flowers. Tormental, also a favourite with bees, is a low-growing scrambling plant occurring by the sides of the circular path round the heath. The roots yield a red dye used as an ingredient in the manufacturing of artists' colours. Pollinating insects abound here. Bumblebees and hoverflies visit the heathers and wildflowers like the devil's bit scabious. The emperor moth caterpillars feed on heather and are quite black when they first emerge, before turning to the very distinctive green with pink splodges that you might have come across on your walks around the heath. The mosaic of heath, bog and woodland provides shelter for many animals. Both roe deer and fox families have been seen, as well as small mammals like wood mice, bank voles and the elusive water shrew. This wetland is under threat of drying out. It is still drained by the central ditch and a network of small drains, and our climate is getting increasingly hotter and drier. Over the last few years, Portlethen Moss Conservation Group and the Council Ranger Service have been putting in a variety of dams into the drainage ditch. This started with a natural dam made from hessian sacks filled with chipped gorse removed from the moss as part of Scottish Natural Heritage Peatland Action funded project in 2014. A number of natural dams have now been placed along the drainage ditch, successfully slowing down water loss and creating habitats for freshwater invertebrates. These were all created by volunteers on Climate Week North East events and a Butterfly Conservation Bog Squad-led Volunteer Day. In 2019, the Portlethen Moss Conservation Group and Council Ranger Service created a more robust plastic piling dam to hold back more water. This will allow more water to dissipate and percolate through into the surrounding bog, helping to keep it wet. Peatlands are important for carbon storage, water storage and biodiversity. Covering just 3% of the Earth's land area, they are second only to oceans in the amount of carbon they store. Peat-forming sphagnum mosses and wetland specialist plants and dependent animal life can all be lost if allowed to dry out, and it would also result in the release of carbon back into the atmosphere. With a variety of wildlife and habitats to explore on your doorstep, Portlethen Moss is well worth taking care of.